I think at this point, most people will probably agree that Tom Cruise is, as Teddy Roosevelt used to say, crazier than a porcupine on fire in the barn on Christmas. But there's no doubt that Tom Cruise is a movie fan. He loves the theater experience, he loves cinema, he loves spectacle. And I think he delivers here. In fact, the whole team deserves they deserve all the success. You know, the weird thing here is that for a movie that I think is pretty dang good, it's hard to review. And that's mainly because, well, I mean, there's very few people who are going to be looking for a bad review of this movie. I can't think of one misstep here. Like, I seriously can't think of one. The acting is fantastic, like across the board. There's no weak link. It's perfect. Like great casting, wonderful performances. I mean, I don't know if there's anything to say other than hey, good job. Directing and cinematography is great. I mean, Christopher McQuarrie co-wrote the movie and then directed the movie himself. It's everything feels effortless. Like it's completely in service to the story and there's nothing saying, "Ooh, look at me, look at this camera move" and all that. It's always in service to the story and it just makes everybody look awesome. Now, I haven't seen the other Mission Impossibles in a while, but I'm kind of thinking that maybe it's McQuarrie's sort of ode to Brian De Palma's directing in the first movie because that first movie is the only one that I can think of that uses the Dutch angle a lot. And it's something that I really like. I really like in movies and he uses it to great effect here. And some of the composition of the shots is just like, man, that looks good. And it sounds good. It's great. It's great. The music definitely pumps you up when it needs to, and it stays out of the way when it's not needed. It's really well done, really well done score. Even though I will say that I heard a little influence from Hans Zimmer. You know, there's some Hans Zimmer esque kind of moments in there, very Inception in a way. But hey, like I said, good job. And speaking of influences, and that now I'm talking about the story as a whole. There is a sequence toward the end that I won't spoil, but it definitely got me thinking that this was like straight out of a video game. Like it reminds me of a sequence in a very famous video game series. Now, is that a bad thing? Well, no, because video games for a long time have been sort of trying to make a movie like experience in their cutscenes and things like that. So the fact that there's this kind of back and forth exchange of ideas, I like it. I think it was, and it was a really effective scene too. Very cool stuff. Now, something I didn't really expect, but since this was sort of like a preview night, I mean, it's kind of like it comes out tomorrow night, right? I mean, most people will be seeing it tomorrow night. So, anyway, they showed a couple of featurettes, sort of some of the behind the scenes stuff, and then sort of a message from Christopher McQuarrie and Tom Cruise thanking us for coming to the theater to watch this movie and, you know, sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, okay, that was strange. But I will say, the man, this theater, I need to go back to this theater because this theater had the Dolby Cinema or Dolby Atmos. Oh my God, it was really good sound. Like, you know, like I was just blown away. I was sitting there going, this sounds so good. So I don't really know what else to talk about. I mean, I could talk about the story, but number one, I don't remember all the details. But number two, you won't remember anyway because it all of there's twists and turns and there's a lot of, you know, shifting allegiances. Of course, it's a Mission Impossible movie, right? You know that Tom Cruise is going to be running down the street. You know somebody's going to pull off a mask at a time where you're like, oh, you know what I mean? It's going to happen. So it's really, are you a fan of that? Are you a fan of the Mission Impossible franchise? Because I can't see you watching this review if you weren't. You know, you're basically checking out reviews to see if it's, yeah, is it worth watching? And I'm here to tell you, yes, it is. It's absolutely worth watching, even if the movie just kind of ends. You know, the movie just kind of like says, okay, well, part two is coming soon. In fact, it comes out June next year, I think. So we don't have a whole long time to wait. I'm excited. I'm excited to see the next part. So Mission Impossible Dead Reckoning Part 1. That's a long name. It takes forever to type out, I'll tell you that. Look, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it very, very much. I think it's I mean, you look at the reviews and you look at that the Rotten Tomatoes score, the Metacritic score, and you go, yeah, I understand it. It's a great movie. The only thing I will say is maybe a little long, but I can't think of anything I'd cut out because it was just a fun time. So let me know down below if you've seen it. What did you think of it? And we'll talk about it. So thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.